Peace and blessings to whoever watches this. This is Meaux Yanna. You just call me Mo. This is probably my first video ever like this, but I'm just following the guidance of my ancestors and the messages and the channels I've been receiving lately. Late Friday night, this past Friday, to early Saturday morning, I could not sleep. And it was almost like my ancestors would not let me sleep. I was just in bed and I was crying and releasing a lot, and I didn't understand why, but I heard this, it's like this voice in the back of my head. It's like, you just need to write. Just write and get it out. And you need to face some things and admit some truths to yourself and to the world. Because if I can't truly accept all aspects of myself and all that I've been through, then how can I expect to ever truly receive all that is owed to me, all that I feel I deserve, if I can't even acknowledge all that I am? So this video is basically me kind of speaking on my journey of how I got to the point that I'm at spiritually, how and why, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna just read what I wrote. It started off as me just typing in, kind of facing my past and my path that I've walked, and then it ended up turning into a channel. Like, messages started flowing through me, and I could tell the difference from at the beginning I was saying more like I did this, and then eventually the tears stopped flowing and I started speaking more like, you will do this, you will do that. And that's how I knew I was starting to channel, and I had to release these past feelings because those were the blockages. The parts of me that I wasn't willing to face, you know, that is what was blocking me from receiving these divine channels and these messages that I need to give out to the world. And I've had people tell me so much recently, like, you need to start teaching, you need to start speaking publicly, and I just never knew how I would start. So I feel like that night, that message, that experience, and I ended up typing on my phone for like 2 hours, just getting it all out. That was the beginning, that was the start. So I'm going to read basically what I wrote. I really hope it helps somebody, just speaking on my story and speaking on my journey of basically what I call from depression to divinity. So here goes nothing. I wrote, I never really talk about this due to feeling ashamed and embarrassed, but as I continue to grow and come into my own, I've learned that to truly reach a state of ultimate balance within myself, I must accept all parts of myself, even those that aren't so pretty and desirable. I've suffered from depression for the last 9 years of my life, and the worst of it was in 2014 and 2015, right after graduating from college. I attempted to take my life not once but twice. I suffered a major heartbreak, which triggered so many latent traumas within my being. Some from this lifetime, many from past ones, and many from ancestry that were passed from generation to generation. I spent years walking around drowning in my vessel and doing everything in my power to stay afloat, but it seemed as nothing I did was effective and that no one could help me. I was constantly surrounded by people, but remained lonely and wondering why in the fuck would God put me here to suffer as such. None of my questions or prayers were answered, and the more I tried to seek help, the worse things got. I was let down by preachers and pastors, teachers, friends, and even worse, family. I was so alone in my world, and everywhere I turned just led to dead end after dead end. I was even blamed by some people for not being happy, as if saying just be happy would make things better for me, when I didn't even know what true happiness was, and to some extent, I still don't. But it was only after the second attempt on my life that I officially hit my rock bottom. My life just completely fell apart. The blessing in that curse was that once I hit my lowest point, I had nowhere to go but up. I took the opportunity to let some good people help me out as I went through my dark night of the soul. I began my painful process of healing myself, as ultimately it was only I that could do so. It was during this process that I started to ask some serious questions about my existence and the complexities of it that none of the people closest to me could answer. Once I stopped searching externally for those answers, they began to reveal themselves from within, slowly but surely. My ancestors and angels guided me all the way through the process in order to bring me back home to myself, which led to my awakening in 2017 and put me back on my divine path that I veered from lifetimes ago. This is why I take my journey so seriously, because I know from experience what it feels like to be powerless in this world due to being cut off from the divinity that is my natural essence. What was most shocking out of the entire ordeal was that while I was drowning and miserable, I was surrounded by people. But once I began to really come out of it and back into my power, people began to drop from my life like flies. It was almost as if either I attracted these people because they themselves are truly hiding their own misery, or people were feeding off of mine in order to empower themselves. But I digress. My outlook on my environment completely changed, and I began to see and hear about how common depression actually is and how most people force themselves to eat that shit, not realizing that carrying such a toxic burden, not realizing that carrying such a toxic burden will not yield any type of positive outcome. I strive every day to continue developing my knowledge of self and to remember who and what I actually am, before being conditioned into an illusionary existence that keeps people from truly knowing the power they possess. Every day is a battle to not slip back into that darkness, as I was fortunate enough to find the light that resided within. This shit ain't a trend or for shits and giggles to me. It is the ultimate soul journey and alchemical process, as I am that one in my family who came back in this lifetime to heal my bloodlines. Because as I heal, so do my ancestors. And as a melanated woman, I hold unfathomable amounts of pain and trauma in my DNA due to the ways, pardon me. And if you see all this junk, I'm currently moving from an apartment to a house. So I'm not living out my car. I'm just moving, and I haven't moved in yet. So just bear with me, y'all. Let me see. And as a melanated woman, I hold unfathomable amounts of pain and trauma in my DNA due to the ways and wickedness of this physical realm. But each milestone I reach is confirmation for me that this shit is real, and nobody can tell me otherwise. When I called out to God, I heard nothing. But when I was humbly silent, I was able to hear the divine within. The divine within me speak loud and clear. From hearing my granny, who transitioned in 2009, let me know that she is with me, to meditating and hearing the names of gods and goddesses of my ancestors, to developing extrasensory abilities such as clairvoyance, clairsentience, and claircognizance. I can't make none of this shit up. And in the future, I'll start explaining some of those experiences, because I wrote many of them down, and I have some of those I'll never forget. But continuing on, and it all makes sense as to why I experienced the life I have up until this point. To be such an old soul in a world of young souls can be extremely lonely, and the human aspect of this existence made it easy to believe that it was something wrong with me and not this fucked up society. But that is further from the truth. This is why they say that the black sheep of the family is usually the one who awakens. However, I shudder to think of all the black sheeps that were unable to awaken when the time came, because the ways of this world was too much for them to bear. As we move into this new age of Aquarius, the age of knowing, I know for a fact that there will be many people that will reach these points of experience where they will experience their own form of existential crisis in order to come back into divine alignment. I'm not gonna lie, this work is hard and it's painful, but that is the essence of alchemy. In order to make a diamond, coal has to be pressurized, the same as turning lead into gold. The original, aboriginal, or indigenous, or melanated people, however you choose to describe us, of the world are going through a major alchemical process, both individually and collectively. We are in a state of healing and returning back to that from whence we came. The suffering that we have endured for these last 6 to 8 millennia was us experiencing this existence as lead. Now we are awakening and remembering, which is us being pressurized in order to return to gold. This is why we are having conversations that have been needed for generations, because we are ready to wake the fuck up and pick up where we left off before we fell and were removed from our divine throne all over the planet. This is also why the planet is heating up, but that's another convo for another day. This is also why our children are being born into this world on some next level shit. They are literally powerful ancestors that have returned to further our work of healing and empowerment. That's why you are seeing more baby geniuses, newborns that come out of the womb completely aware, children starting empires before they reach puberty, kids that are so advanced physically, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. It is because they have reincarnated to finish the work they began in other lifetimes. These are no coincidences. As we continue on, we will see more of this. This is also why we are seeing a rise in Black power and consciousness all over the planet overall. We are returning to godhood, and as co-creators with the divine, the universe, the most high God, whatever you choose to describe it, we are now able to express the divinity within us that has been intentionally stifled in a myriad of ways. We are witnessing it in our music, in our artwork, in business and industry, in economics and education, in our family dynamics, through the use of our voices, and so much more. Those that have mounted themselves over this entire planet know that what is taking place is inevitable and they can't stop it. So they are trying to spearhead it in order to try and control it, which is why we are seeing more Black exposure in media. But those are nothing more than token mundane victories. However, it is symbolic of the bigger divine picture that is currently being painted in the cosmos. Remember, as above, so below. I said all of this to say that there's a major shift taking place all over the planet, and many prophecies are coming into fruition, and not just biblical. It's more than just the Bible. As we continue to shift, many of us will feel and experience extreme low points, as coming into consciousness can send you spiraling through so many uncomfortable truths and emotions. But please know it's all for a bigger purpose. You must face the demons that are plaguing you. The pain that you have buried deep within and choose to ignore must be surfaced and faced in order to be healed. Your ancestors are trying to ascend just as much as they want you to, and as their descendant, you are the total summation of all those that came before you. Can you imagine the power in breaking a generational curse and setting millions or even billions of your ancestors free spiritually so that they can move on to their own glory? That is what is transpiring right now for those that are choosing to do this work. But please know that this is a solo journey. As much as you want to help those closest to you, people have to make the choice themselves to travel down these rabbit holes, as what you will find is not for the weak, unprepared, or the faint of heart. Don't be afraid to be alone, for it is in solitude that you find your true self, and in finding yourself, you attract others who are on the same frequency, whether it be for a lifetime or for a season. We are truly living in interesting times, but this is what we came here to do. These cycles have existed long before us and will continue to exist long after, as that is universal law, and these laws are the only laws that actually exist, as they cannot be broken. Any law that can be broken is not in fact a law at all, but rather a man-made rule or mandate that you have been led to believe you must follow. Meanwhile, the people who create these laws commit the most heinous acts known to man, and again, that's another topic for another day. Ultimately, I just want my people to heal and remember who we are, as we have been through so much and asleep for so long. It is time to awaken and be restored, but the faulty programming we have been force-fed must be removed, and we must begin to live again in accordance to Mama Nature. This is how we build pyramids and created civilizations with technology that have yet to be recreated to this day. It all lies within us. Much of this knowledge is dormant, but it is coming back online as our junk DNA is being activated. And the current dominant society has no idea what will come of this. We are now the authors of our own stories again, and the world is waiting to hear what we come up with. Now, what is it that you have to say? Okay, that was all I had. I hope this resonates with whoever it needs to resonate to, or I know it will, and as well as I hope my personal story helps anybody that's currently suffering or going through their own struggles emotionally, mentally, spiritually, even physically. You're just starting your journey, and you're probably just vibrating now, and you're ready to wake up. Don't fight the process. Don't resist the change. Flow with it. Feel it. And do the best that you can from pure intentions and being pure of heart. And I promise you, everything will start to make sense. Okay? So again, this is MeauxYanna. You can just call me Mo. DM me or get at me if you want a spiritual reading, tarot, oracle, or a pendulum reading, or if you really just need somebody to talk to. I don't charge for conversations. If you're really going through some shit and you really just need an ear, I understand how that is. Please just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to be that listening ear. I won't even say shit. But yeah, thanks for watching and listening. Again, I hope it helps, and be the god or goddess that you were born to be. Right? Ashe. Peace, my love, and lovelies.